Hi, Barbara Wally here, orthopedic and sports certified physical therapist, to continue our talk about sports performance, high activity, and nutrition. And just a reminder, as a disclaimer, I am not a registered dietitian and I am also not a nutritionist. That being said, I have a lot of training with sports with my sports certification, so I'd like to talk today about an overview with hydration. But first, let's talk about some of our previous discussions with on nutrition with sports performance. So if you recall from my previous videos, typically you want about 50% of your diet from carbohydrates, 20% of your diet from proteins, and 30% from fats. And this is just average. This is not taking into consideration specific sports like weightlifting. Weightlifters may want to ingest a little bit more of their protein, or marathon runners may need to ingest a little bit more of their carbohydrates. But it's a good rule of thumb, 50, 20, 30. And let's talk about our carbohydrates. We talked about marathon runners. So our carbohydrates, you really want to consume more of your complex carbohydrates throughout the day. So those are going to be our unrefined grains. So our brown rice and our unrefined pastas and our brown breads, as well as oats and potatoes, nuts, fruit. But also simple carbs, they're not all bad. They can be very beneficial, especially mid-exercise and for quick energy. Sugar, honey, candy, sodas, and our white, more processed grains like white pasta, white bread, white rice. We need to avoid our empty carbs. Who wants to hear that? But those carbs, those more simple carbs or empty carbs, can be very beneficial mid-exercise or when you need a quick jolt of energy. Proteins, so those are our lean meats, fish, dairy, and eggs. And also, avocados are great for protein, kale, quinoa, spinach, and chia seeds. And then our fats are mono unsaturated fats. Those are our avocados, nut butters, and nuts and oils, as well as our poly unsaturated fats, our fish, margarine, nuts and oil, and our saturated fats, the bacons, the butters, the creams, and coconut oils. So hydration, let's talk about hydration. So it's probably our most important thing to consider with our diets for sports performance. We need to consider fluid loss, which can be very environmentally dependent. So that can lead to dehydration. And you really need to consider how much fluid you are losing through your sweat. This can also include our breath and our tears as well. And we need to match our intake. Couple things to note. Highly humid environments, say if you live in the South or very warm climates, you're going to sweat more, especially if you're someone that has a lot of salts in your sweat. Say your clothes dry after exercise and you notice you have a really thick salt ring on your clothing. You can actually submit your sweat to get tested to see if you are a salty sweater. You're going to need to replenish more electrolytes in your diet. But nonetheless, you may be sweating more in a more humid environment, but also in very, very cold, dry environments, you can actually lose a lot of fluid through your breath, through your tears, and just the humidity in your skin. And you don't realize it because you're not sweating as much. Your sweat is actually evaporating very quickly. So it's something to consider, that it's not just the really hot, humid climates, it's also the very cold climates as well. But restriction of fluids can actually lead to death in a matter of days. We all know that, when it comes to starvation, you can live for a long time without food, but you can't live a long time without water. But there's also such thing as overhydration. It's great that there's more awareness about hydration lately, but you've also heard, I'm sure, on the news cases where people have tried to consume 1-2 gallons of water in a short period of time and have actually gotten what's called hyperhidrosis, and it's life-threatening and you can actually die from it. So you have to be smart about your water consumption. But only 2% loss of water can lead to dehydration, and a 1% loss, so even less than what's considered hydration, can actually cause your heart to beat 3 to 5 times more per minute. So your body feels when you are actually losing fluid. So 60%, believe it or not, of water comes from the fluids that we drink. 30% of our diet with water comes from fruits and vegetables, even more of a reason to get friendly with your fruits and vegetables. And then 10% is actually formed just from natural metabolism and how we break down our fluids and how our bodies function. But here's the recommendation: 2 to 7 liters per day for women, 3.7 liters per day for men. So what is a liter? Well, I had to look it up too because I want to know exactly how many glasses this means per day. So that's 74 ounces for women, or 9.25 cups. A cup has 8 ounces in it, so that's where the cups or glasses a day come from. So 9.25 measured volume cups of water. And for men, 3.7 liters a day translates to 101 ounces, or 12 8-ounce glasses or cups a day. Most water bottles are going to have 2, 3, even 4 cups in a water bottle. You just need to know how many ounces. And usually you can turn the bottle over and see it. And some of them are pre-measured as well. So that's just daily recommendation. That's not just with exercise. So when you're talking about hydration with exercise, the recommendations with exercise, you need to consume 1 cup. So volume, like when you're baking, cup of water, or 8 ounces, excuse me, every 10 to 20 minutes. And that depends on humidity and other factors. So do you think you drink enough water when you exercise? Probably not. And then post-exercise, 2 to 3 cups for every pound lost. So a lot of football players, especially in the warmer weather, will actually weigh themselves pre and post-workout and will adjust their water or fluid intake based on how many pounds they have lost. And it's very important to replenish electrolytes. So you can't just use water. When you are highly performing with activity, exercise, or a sport, you really need to be replenishing electrolytes as well, either with the electrolyte tablets that you put into your water, or Gatorade or Powerade or something along those lines. There's so many options today. But chocolate milk is actually a really great post-exercise hydration because you actually get a little bit of fat, you get a little bit of protein, and a little bit of sugar, so you get some carbohydrates post-exercise. And it's very important to restrict alcohol. Alcohol actually dehydrates us. That's a really important thing to know. Alcohol and caffeine dehydrate you. So you really need to replenish about a cup of water for every drink of caffeine or a drink of alcohol that you have, and you need to consider that prior to an exercise. And at the end is the worst time to drink alcohol, because if you're already not drinking enough water before exercise, during, and then you get to after and you're still not drinking water and then you're drinking alcohol, that's going to make things much worse for you. So you really need to restrict alcohol immediately following exercise as well. So in summary, fluids need to be readily available. In consumed fluids, whatever you're drinking, it really does not matter. I mean, if you prefer, to do flavored water or regular water, tap water, bottled, it doesn't really matter. Just make sure you're drinking. And then you want to drink your fluids early on. So if you know you're already dehydrated, you really need to make sure that you are pumping your system up with fluid in the hours leading up to performance, say a match or a football game, or you're going to hit it hard at the gym. You need to make sure you're hydrating prior to walking in those doors. And then you really need electrolytes for every 60 to 90 minutes of duration of exercise. So if you're even mowing the lawn for an hour and a half, 2 hours, you really need to be consuming your electrolytes, your Gatorades, Powerades, or sport tablets, etc., with 60 to 90 minutes or more duration of that activity or sport. So I hope this was helpful and it helped improve the clarity of what you need to do with hydration. And our next video is going to talk about caffeine. But I hope this helps, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much.